Yeah, I mean, I might be throwing it left field here, but is that a part where to suspect that, hang on a minute, because his human side is in there, that's why he's going to stay on? Because his human side is now almost pretty much altogether taken over, apart from these directives that are still going to hinder some of his decisions. Or was it just the case that, it just malfunctions when you're going to get close to an executive, to an arrest type thing?
I don't know, my feeling about this was always that he's resisting it and that he's keeping himself going.
Mm.
And like you said, his human side was showing through a lot more. And, the human mind is so complex, it's hard to say how that would interact with a machine.
Yeah, exactly. Well, of course, Dick Jones then says, I want to introduce you to a friend of mine. Maybe you later meet a friend of mine, something like that. And of course, that is the Ed 209, and we get this whole robot versus robot. I guess at the start of the film, when you saw Ed 209, you kind of knew that at some point this is a fight that the audience would want to see. And I think, for the time this was done in, I think this is done really well. I know it's stop motion. I know that they had to use, the screens and pretty much. Weller wasn't even in most of the shots. I mean, it was literally where they just had to use stop motion for most of it. But I'm not sitting there thinking that's not him. I'm feeling like he's getting beat up at every turn. I'm not watching it like I do a kind of, just as an example. I'm not trying to hit on anything here, people. But just as an example, when you're watching a Marvel film, like the Avengers, and you're seeing all these things going on at once, you kind of don't have that emotional attachment because it's so CGI-ish that you don't feel like anything's really bad's going to happen. But in this instance, I feel they do it in a way, Matt, where I'm still invested enough to think, okay, he's getting hurt here, and this is not going well. And they do some good close-up shots and freeze shots, and one of the best shots I think in the entire film. I mean, there are a good lot of them, but I think this goes down to Verhoeven himself, is the one where, of course, the part of his visor breaks and you see the eye. And I know I was talking about Weller's eyes earlier, but it really captures well, and I love that part because that is, when that gun from Ed 209 is literally in his face and he's turning it, and you're seeing that kind of emotion through the eye. I love that part because that was like Murphy coming through there and showing the strength that he had with Robocop to move that away. But Matt, for this scene, is this a scene that you was happy with, or was you satisfied with the finale of Ed 209 and Robocop kind of meeting for the first time here?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was pretty satisfying, and it definitely gives you the sense that Robocop is not invincible.
Mm-hmm.
He can take a beating. Then, just like every human, he can be outmatched. And I believe in this fight, he was outmatched. In the end, he's sort of running for the door almost.
Yeah.
But then I guess we're going to talk about what happens at that bit next.
Well, yeah, and of course he does escape. I'm not sure where Dick Jones heads off to, but he escapes, gets out of there, and of course it's the stairs that are the main malfunction for the Ed 209, because I love that part, Matt, where they do that part where he's testing it out with his foot, and he's like, "Hang on a minute, this ain't gonna end well." But yeah, and then of course, he rolls down, tumbles it, and then you kind of get that like childlike kind of can't get my own way behaviour display from Ed 209, where it's like, God damn it, why can't I get up? But that whole scene, that was done through stop motion. Again, that was like miniatures that they'd used. So well done to get that shot. They built literally the whole staircase exactly the way it was on screen. I mean, you cannot tell the difference. It's so, you'd have to go some. You'd have to literally freeze it by each second to actually notice anything. But that was really well done, in my opinion. So consistent with everything. And I know a lot of people are like, well, the Ed 209 weren't that great because he couldn't get down some freaking stairs. But I think Verhoeven was going for that. I don't think he, if you look at the first scene when Ed 209 come out and done the demonstration, this thing was not made to be that. Yeah, it's tough and it's strong, but it was never going to be the capable one of the two, and certainly not the brains of the two. So I didn't mind this one, and I know that they put that extra bit in, but I think that's just how this movie's presented. I think that suited the tone just well. For you, Matt?
Yeah, it totally was. I did enjoy it. I mean, and to think something so sophisticated like that wouldn't be able to handle a staircase, it just gives you another sense of why this particular thing was doomed to fail.
Yeah.
But I think it's the next scene that really hits hard for me. Where he steps outside and he's like surrounded by his own people almost, and they've been given orders to take him out. And then people do start firing on him. It's like people are turned on him, but then there's half of the cops that say, "No, we're not going to do this. He's one of us." I felt that was a really emotional point of the film.
Yeah, we get this like police squad guy who we actually saw earlier in the film when that mayor thing was going on. He was there then, and he's turned up with all these guys. And man, if you think what just happened to Robocop was bad, this gets even worse, doesn't it? And this is a great scene again. You feel so helpless for poor old Robocop because he is literally crawling by the end of it to get out of there because there's so many of these police guys just firing on him, or every which way. I love the way they do that. I love the way the music's used, the score. I think it's really well done. And of course, he manages to roll down a couple of layers of the car park, and of course he gets saved by Lewis, thankfully, as she puts him back in the car as they're getting shot at. But that scene, that's so well done, and it was just like, I think in the last, we're talking 10 minutes worth, we've had some serious amount of action going on in this film. It seems like it all came at one time here, Matt, because it's like it's just not let up.
Yeah, completely agree. And that moment when he's rolling around, and then like Lewis gets out of the car, and she's like, "It's me, Lewis," and you feel like that is the first time he's actually looked at her and realised, I do know you. Yeah, you're my friend. You do look out for me. Yeah,
no, I totally agree with that. So that's that. Now then we go back to our favourite people, the news guys, but we get this the commercial of it's another funny one. Bigger is better. It's the 6000 SUX, isn't it? The car, an American tradition, because bigger is better. I love the way that's on. Again, I think this is just stuff that Verhoeven, when he visited America, this is how he saw it as an outsider, and I can kind of somewhat relate to that. That whole way they've done it. But yeah, we get Casey Wong again, who is becoming a familiar role in this film. He's almost like he's like a narrator almost, isn't he, in this film? Him and the lady news reporters here. But he's back and he's telling us about a laser that shot out some sort of cannon in space, and lasered down, and one of them was like a former president, I believe, something along those lines. But I love the way it's just so out of nowhere. We've just had what's just happened, and then they're talking about this, and I love the fact that this film will go there, and it will have a commercial, and it will do this, and it just makes it more of a real life living world going on around it, that not everything is just going to be the narrative of the Robocop story. And the second part they start talking about, of course, is the whole strikes going on with the police. And man, they get these guys. These two guys they get for this are like, they're so authentic. I couldn't tell, Matt, whether they're just legitimately just on the street. They just literally got these guys to talk about it like in a real bulletin or something. But you get one guy who's super serious. He's like, they're public servants. They got job security. They're not supposed to strike. And then you get this other guy come on. It's got his name, Kevin Rosenberg, and underneath it just has the word unemployed. At one moment I was expecting Verhoeven to just go with bum. The way this whole film's just gone, that he would just stick that in. But his lines. I mean, I'm thinking to myself, is this guy was he cast? Or is he just out there? Have they just got this footage from somewhere? But, he's talking about, hey, there ain't nothing free, no guarantee. You're on your own. It's the road of the jungle. No, it's just so, like, kind of hippie-fied. But, yeah, I mean, just really good stuff, because I think it just sums the whole film up really well, so, in what they're doing. But, yeah, I love that kind of stuff. Always makes me smile and gets a few kicks out of that type of stuff. That they do there. And of course the next scene, Matt, we go back to the OCP building, where finally we're going to get to see Clarence Boddicker just smooge in his suit, but his face is completely busted up, and he's going to meet with Dick Jones, and you can see in that scene, Matt, that they're sort of like clearing up from the fight that happened the night before. But this, of course, is the first time we see Dick Jones and Clarence together, and we see how that relationship is working. But obviously, at this point, Clarence is pretty pissed because of, he's like, well, it's your fucking company built the fucking thing or whatever. So, he's pissed at that, and, he's like, look at my face, dick. And then, of course, Dick Jones is unhappy because Robocop's got the entire recording, the evidence of him admitting that he works for him, etc., etc. So, at first it starts off they're not liking each other, and then, of course, he says about the whole Delta City thing coming together, and that when it's all going to be put up, Clarence will be the number one guy. And the mood lightens somewhat, and it's back to Richard, not Dick anymore. And he says, we're going to need some serious firepower, and have you got access to the military? And then you just see that smug look from Dick Jones. He says, we practically are the military. So you know what's coming there. But that dynamic between those two characters, I guess it was like, as an audience, you're trying to measure who's the guy who's really in control, who's the worst of the two. Do we find anything out from that, or are these two guys that are just convenient for each other?
Definitely convenient for each other. I mean, Dick Jones wouldn't be half as scary if he didn't have a henchman to do the bidding for him.
Yeah.
Especially when his so-called robot and protector isn't exactly functioning as he should. Yeah. So he definitely needs Clarence as a muscle, and I'd say Clarence is the more ruthless of the two, because there's no real end to the actual brutality he will go to.
Yeah, when I was younger and I watched that scene and he says, we practically are the military and he's going to give him some more firepower, I thought that meant he was going to send out a load of Ed 209s with Clarence and his gang, and I was like, oh my god, this could get really messy if those things start chasing after him as well. But we find out what that is in a little while. But then we go back to the abandoned steel factory, which of course is where Murphy died. And we see Lois kind of coming up with a bag, and she's gone back for his gun, and she's got food there. And I know people will say it's convenient, but they did mention the whole strike thing, so it would have been a little bit empty. So I guess you could have got that. I'll give exemption for that. But this part here, Matt, this is probably one of the best parts in the film as far as the makeup of the film goes. This has got to be one of the best damn jobs I've ever seen. In terms of no CGI used here, folks. This is just pure makeup at its very best. Now, we haven't spoke about the guy that was heavily involved with the makeup and design of the whole thing, but Rob Bottin was the guy. Now, him and Paul Verhoeven had a very on-offish relationship, to the point where Rob actually stopped coming onto the set because he was so mad. And I know that one of their biggest issues with each other was this scene, and it was about whether it should be shot in the dark or the light, because Rob felt that the shooting it in the light would have exposed too much, and doing it in the dark would have been better, but Verhoeven was adamant about keeping it in the light. Matt, this guy, as we spoke about, Rob Bowen, he is literally, he's worked on some of the best films for makeup stuff. He is the guy to go to if you need it. I mean, his reputation is crazy incredible, and his work in this is some of the best he's done as well. But again, we're talking about a time where we are pre-CGI special effects. Yeah, there are special effects going on, but believe me, they would not hold up well in this day and age if they were used then. But the way they do this, Matt, when he unscrews that for the first time. First of all, Matt, what was you expecting we was going to see, and was it exactly how it came out as a viewer?
This is a bit of a weird one as well, because it raises so many questions. Is it actually Robocop's head? Because, you can see the face, and it's his face takes up a larger area than the actual metal behind. Yeah. Whereas you'd think someone in a suit, the metal behind would stick out larger than the face. Right. But that was clever makeup, where they extended the width of his face just to make it look like... And then it almost is, when you see it like that, like it suggested that it's almost like a a face transplant, like a robotic